If you've watched me long enough here on YouTube, as it relates to health and wellness, and especially diet issues, you will note that I have a tendency to rebound or come back to the same subject. Oftentimes, it's for a new audience and or visitors, and sometimes it's to remind some others of us about what we should be doing and can be doing to better our general health. And as it relates to diet and the chemicals and processed foods and so forth, I have a tendency to repeat myself. And it may be a bit redundant to some, but sometimes I might word it a little bit different, and you may get it the second or the third video on the same or similar subject. Be that as it may, this is perhaps one of those videos as well. Now, this video is about inflammation. Uh, I want to be very, very straightforward with you. I'm going to say this. First of all, I appreciate all of those that watch my videos and who support my channel. And even those who don't necessarily have positive things to say, I appreciate you stopping by and taking the time out of your day to watch my material. But for those of you that find value in what I am offering on my platform, this particular platform, this is really designed primarily for you. Uh, inflammation. Inflammation is a body's process that occurs within the body when your body is under stress. Stress comes from mechanical or physical stress, injury specifically to the body, and that can come from foods you eat. It can come from physical injuries. That's one stress. Another stress is emotional stress. The death of a loved one, past or present, divorce, relationship issues, family issues in general, a loss of a job, just things that you're dealing with. That's an emotional stress. And the other stress is medical or pharmaceutical stress. It's the stress that comes from taking pharmaceutical drugs. These three stresses on the human body. Now, right now, I want to talk about the stress that we control for the most part ourselves. There are 5 stresses that cause inflammation as it relates to things that we put in our bodies. One of those things that causes, well, hold on a second, let me back up again. Inflammation is when your body basically has a fire internally. Let's say, in this particular instance, we're talking about food, food that we eat. Okay, when there's a fire within the body sends forth its immune system to try to put the fire out. So that's your white blood cells, that's your cortisol, your cholesterol, and even calcium in the joints and the arteries to repair breakdown in the arterial walls and so forth to patch it back up, just depending on what the injuries are to the body. So let's move right forward to inflammation. Inflammation is a normal body's process. However, most of the inflammation that we receive on a chronic level, chronic inflammation in other words, is typically caused by us. So these are the 5 main causes of inflammation. When we consume sugar, There are natural carbohydrates found in your vegetables, organic, your fruits, your beans, lentils, legumes, if you will, and grains, whole grains, and such. They are converted to sugar in the body. When we add artificial sugar to the body to include other refined uh, ingredients as well, such as white flour, of course, I said white sugar, which is refined, uh, white rice, which is not a natural rice, uh, other things that are processed, those refined products that we're putting inside our bodies cause inflammation. Yes, they do. It can start from acute because we are consuming a very minuscule amount of additional sugar and or refined products in our body, which shouldn't be any refined products, period. But because of the American diet, we do consume these things. So it can be acute and it can end up being very chronic, the inflammation, which could eventually lead to death over a period of time. So the first thing that starts and causes inflammation in the human body is sugar and refined foods. The second one, people really don't want to hear this either. They don't want to hear sugar because that cuts out the donuts and the pies and the pasta and a lot of the other additional things that we like that are sweet. High fructose corn syrup, Pepsis and colas and things like this. Ice cream, okay, candy, cookies. So the second one is something that's hard for us to get away from, but it's very much a part of the fabric of America, is dairy. Dairy is milk. I'm not talking about raw milk right now, but milk or dairy, to include yogurt, to include chocolate milk, to include cheese, and any other product that's made with milk or dairy. That causes inflammation. So we have sugar, refined flours, and all of those processed foods. Then we have dairy. The third thing is animal protein. Am I advocating that you become vegan? No. Am I advocating that you become a vegetarian? No. You make your own decisions. I'm just here to give you the information. But animal products cause inflammation in the human body. Why? Human beings originally did not consume animals in the very beginning of our existence. Over a period of time throughout evolution, man decided to start eating animal flesh. But we're not carnivores by nature. Understand, comprehend this. Am I telling you not to eat meat? No, I'm not. I'm not telling you to do anything. I'm just sharing this information with you. You make your decision on your own. Okay? So, we're on the third one. Polyunsaturated oils cause inflammation, high inflammation in the body. What's a polyunsaturated oil, brother teacher? Canola oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil, vegetable oil. I'm sorry, but it's vegetable oil as well. Safflower oil, and any other oil that's yellow in the bottle. When you go down your grocery store aisle and you see all of these bottles lined up on one long shelf, all of those oils cause inflammation in the human body. They create some of the worst inflammation in the human body. They are very carcinogenic, especially when they're heated up. An alternative or a better oil to use would be coconut oil, avocado oil and pure virgin organic olive oil. And what you really don't want to do when you use these oils is to soak your foods in the oil and cook it for long periods of time. These particular oils that I just mentioned have more of a tolerance to heat. But the first ones that I just mentioned, before those last three, they are highly carcinogenic, especially when they are exposed to oxygen, when you take the cap off, and to light, and when they're heated up. You're talking about free radicals in your body. You're talking about the potential for cancer if you consume these polyunsaturated oils. You are a candidate. One doctor, Glidden, calls these oils cancer in a bottle. And I believe it. Okay, so we have sugar, refined flours, and anything refined and processed foods. We have dairy. We have animal meat. That's beef, chicken, turkey, whatever. If it's a living organism that's an animal, then it causes inflammation. Polyunsaturated oil that causes inflammation as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the last one. Medicine. Pharmaceutical drugs cause inflammation in the human body. Now, someone might say, well, brother teacher, what's wrong with inflammation? Well, first of all, I started out saying that inflammation is a normal body process. It's your body's warning sign that something's wrong, and then your body begins or attempts to heal itself. But when we begin to put things in our bodies that were never intended to be there in the first place, you put an overtaxation on the body's immune system. Yes, you do. And it can't take it. It's not able to recover quickly enough. And then you're setting yourself up for some type of disease or disorder. Okay, so now I said pharmaceutical drugs. I am a proponent of emergency medical. If a human being's life, if a man or woman's or child's life can be saved by emergency medical procedures, to include drugs. But in terms of long-term drugs to maintain a man or woman, did you not know this? Once upon a time, the number one killer, number two killer of most Americans were heart disease, hypertension, high blood pressure. Both really related to a great degree. Now, the number one killer of most Americans is death by doctor. You look it up. You research it. And it's through prescription drugs. Why is this, you might say? Well, number one, so many prescriptions are being given or prescribed to people, and they have all of these side effects and adverse effects on the human body. Because as I said before, we were not intended to ingest or have those things, those chemicals in our bodies in the first place. Okay, that's one. Sometimes it is because certain drugs that we're given, we have an adverse effect, because you don't know until you take a medication if your body has a tolerance for it or can take that particular medication. Sometimes the wrong medications have been prescribed for individuals, and that has killed them. I just wanted to put that footnote out there. So, as I said a moment ago, emergency medical procedures that involve medication to save a life, I'm all for it. But to go to the pharmacy for a headache and buy some Tylenol, some over-the-counter ibuprofen, some naproxen, some medicine for indigestion and so forth, and to eat this stuff and consume this stuff like it's M&Ms or some sort of candy, you are doing more harm to your body than good, because you're damaging all of your organs. But your major two organs that you're damaging is going to be your kidneys and your liver. The two organs responsible primarily for getting rid of poison in the body and excreting it out of the body. We are actually adding poison to the body, making the job of both the liver and the kidney or kidneys more difficult than it should be. So I just told you what the 5 things are that cause inflammation in the human body. Inflammation in the human body that's caused by us through those 5 means, those 5 methods that I just mentioned. Inflammation causes hypertension, high blood pressure. It does, because your body is stressed from all of those natural, all of those unnatural things that we're putting in our bodies, injecting and ingesting in our bodies, that don't belong there and do not cause themselves to be friendly to our bodies. Instead, they cause adverse reactions in the human body, and the body's always fighting, always in a state of stress, trying to deal with those chemicals, those artificial things that we have placed in it, and it can never catch up to it because they are unnormal, they're unnatural. So I'm going to try to conclude, but I'm going to say this again. This is me talking to you, and you don't have to like what I said, but it doesn't make what I said not true. Anything that I'm telling you, I don't want to hear someone's opinion back. I want you to tell me, I want you to show me and the people who are watching my particular video and any similar video, you show me the evidence to discount what I've just said, to prove or disprove what I just said. Show me where I'm not correct. Common sense is not necessarily common. Sometimes people do, and oftentimes people do things just because they enjoy doing them, not because they are good for them. As I said before, when you put processed, listen to the word processed foods in your body, that simply tells you that it's not real food if it's processed. Anytime you're adding something to something that comes from nature to keep it on the shelf in a store longer, you're talking about an up and coming health issue. Human beings are the only creature, secondly, that still drink milk. Not from our mother anymore, but from another animal that's not part of our species. We are the only creature that drinks another animal's milk. That's number 2. That causes inflammation. We're eating meat, animal flesh. Tastes good. You know, I'm a witness. Meat does taste good. We've been trained, we've been reared up to eat meat. Most of us in this American society. I get it. But you must still understand that we originally did not eat meat. That's why we have inflammation as a result of meat. Meat will cause cancer in your body as well. Animal protein, that is. 4, polyunsaturated oils. Highly inflammatory to the human system. And what's even worse than that is pharmaceutical drugs, laboratory drugs that we're taking to mask pain, to mask certain symptoms, but the problems are still there once the medicine wears off, when we really should be trying to find out what's causing the problem and fix what's causing the problem. If you're driving down the road and your tire on your car keeps seeping out air, and you go to the gas station, you pump it back up, and you put a patch on the outside, you drive again and it's seeping out air, and you keep repeating that same process, putting some more air in it, putting the patch on the outside of it, when are you going to fix what's causing the air to come out in the first place? Maybe you need to replace the tire. Maybe there's a nail in your tire. Fix what's causing the problem, and then the problem will go away. The human body is the same. Whatever's causing your headaches, fix what's causing the headache. Then you won't have to take Tylenol. You won't have to take aspirin. You won't have to take Motrin and ibuprofen and all of these other painkillers that's only covering up the symptoms but not fixing the problem that's underlying there. Do you see how much sense this makes? But it makes so much sense, people won't follow it. That was all I had to say. 5 major causes of inflammation. So what's the remedy? You know what the remedy is. The remedy is no further than you. You are the remedy because you are also the cause. Brother Teacher here. Let me know what you think. So long.